Welcome back to another new class of app development with Python. In my previous classes, I've shown you how you can create labels and text sizes and how you'll be able to create an app overall. So, in this class, we're going to uncover everything that you need to know about how you can create buttons in Material just by using Python coding. So make sure not to skip any part because every part of it is going to be very important in the long run. So without any further ado, let's open up our IDE on our device, such as PyCharm. So as you can see from my screen, PyCharm, and we also have the main.py file opened up. Now, as we have the main.py file opened up, we're not going to be working on the main py file. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is we're going to intertwine the Kivy button. As we're going to be creating a button, we're going to be using two files together to actually import up, let's say, the main py. So first thing that you want to do is you want to create a new file, which I'm going to name over here. So here on V, I'm going to click on Python file. Let's say I'm going to create a name. Here I'm going to put in Kivy. I'm going to put in Kivy button.py. Okay, hit on enter. There we go. We have Kivy button.py. Now, another thing that we want to do as we have our Kivy button py file created, what you want to do is you're going to intertwine both of them. But before intertwining both of them, you have to create a bit of, let's say, definition inside of your main py file. First off, go to the main py file, and here what I want to do is I'm going to remove everything over here, okay? Let's remove everything because we're not going to be needing those anymore. So here we have the class trial app and the definition build self, okay? So here inside of the build, what I want to do is I'm going to put in screen equal screen. Open up the parentheses and close off the parentheses, go off to the next line. And here you're going to put in another function, btn flat, button flat, okay? Equal, you're going to put in md flat button, md flat button, open up the parentheses. Here I want to put in text equal to a specific value. Here I want to say my text on the button to be, let's say, button 1. Okay, that is what I want to represent on my button. And here I'm going to put in screen dot add underscore widget. So it's not going to take out these functions yet until I import it from screen and flat button. So make sure to follow through. Now app widget, open up the parentheses, and the widget is going to be the button flat. Okay, there we go. We have created the button. Now I want to return a specific value, which we already have over here as button flat. Button flat. Now, even if I play this out, it's not going to give me out anything. It's going to just show me off as an error because we have not imported anything else. So here, instead of import MD label and MD icon, I'm going to put in import screen. And another thing that I want to import is from Kivy, then put in MD. After MD, put in UIX dot button and import it from MD flat. There we go. Now, if I just play this out, you can see it is still showing me off as an error because it did not work yet. Because what you have to basically do is you have to define your button, or let's say the Kivy button too. So another thing that I want to do, if this does not work with the BT and flat, you want to also render the screen and check it out yourself. So if I just render the screen, it is also not working. So make sure that you have the screen over here, and you can see that it is not the same. So what I want to do over here is I'm going to put the same name over here. Screen. Okay. So if I just play it out, it will show me off as an error again. So you can just put in S as a lowercase over here and just play it even if it shows you off as an error. So as you will have an error, what you want to do next is you want to go off to the Kivy button py. So we're also going to be defining the button we already have in our, let's say our Kivy button py file. Another thing that you want to do is you want to fix out, let's say, your button, which you have as the button flat. So right after button 1, you want to put in a comma and you want to fix out the position first. So position or pos hint, and right after pos hint, you want to put in an equal. Okay? Right after putting in an equal, you want to open up the third bracket. And inside your third bracket, put in a single quotation and you want to put in center in different axes, center, then put in x, which is the x-axis. And right after the x-axis and the parentheses, put in a colon. And here I'm going to put in 0.6. So there we go. We have the x-axis as 0.6. You will also be able to work with center specific value 0.y or 0.6 on the y-axis. So right after 0.6, put in a comma. And here you want to put in another quotation, center. I'm going to cut another C off over here, put in a colon. Here I'm going to put in 0.6. Okay? So as we have these values, what I want to do over here is I'm going to run all of these back again. But first off, I'm going to fix in the formatting over here. So instead of this one over here, I'm going to put an enter, and I'm going to keep it right over here as the format. So if I just play out the whole thing, you can still see it is showing me off as an error. So you don't have to worry about those screens, and neither, you have to worry about how it is not showing up on my screen. So make sure to keep this just the way it is. Another thing that you want to do is that you want to create another rectangle flat button. So here, like over here on the import, I'm going to put in a comma. Here I'm going to put in MD. I'm going to put in rectangle flat button. Okay, so as I have put in the MD rectangle flat button, you might want to change out these values over here too. So I'm going to just click on this, Control C, Control V. If I play it out, you can still see this is how it is working. So the next thing, what I want to do is that we have the screens over here working properly. So the next thing that I want to do is that I'm going to defining everything over here on the main.py file. And also I'm going to change out, let's say, a couple of things. So first thing, what we want to do is we're going to go off to the KivyButton.py file. Now, if you still see after playing them out, it shows you off an error over and over again, you might want to try opening up your terminal, which you can see over here. And what you basically want to do is that you can install a Python back again. So to do that, you can just go off to any GitHub. If I just open this up, this is how it looks like. So this is also the link which I will be adding it on, let's say, on my resource file. So what you want to do over here is copy up this code, Control C, and you might want to install up the newest version of PIP available. So I can cut this off and paste it, pip install KIV, and it's going to check out all of the venv files, and it's going to upgrade your PIP, or let's say your Kivy file, to check if this actually works on your version. So as you can see, we have all of these versions and requirements are already satisfied, and it's going to keep on analyzing up till the end. Now, even after all of this, if you check out, it is giving you the exact error over and over again. Then it means that you will not be able to run out these commands because it is going to be for the older versions of your pip, or let's say for your Python. Now, after all of these are done, the next thing what you want to do, if all of these do not work, is that you can delete out this KivyButton.py. So if you want to delete it, you can just remove it anytime you want to. You can just click on New File. So what I'm going to be doing over here is that I'm going to cut off each and every one of them instead of this one. So I'm going to cut off these. And the next thing what you want to do is you want to keep this MD app. Okay. Another thing what you want to do is from Kivy .uix, as you are going to be creating widgets, and the button flat is for an older version of Python. So uix dot widget over here. Now after that you want to put in import widget. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be importing, and I'm going to be creating a new class main widget. Open up the parentheses and name it widget, because that is what we are going to be creating inside of our application, and we're going to pass it off. And the next thing what I want to do is I'm going to create another class. So the class, what I'm going to be naming it is going to be, let's say, MD app. Okay, MD app, and inside you're also going to put in MD app. Okay, so there we go. We have this MD app which we want to create. So as we have defined the app, put in a colon, and right after the colon, you want to run the app. Okay, so here you want to run it off with the MD app. Let's say MD app. Open up the parentheses, and you want to put in dot run. Open and close the parentheses. That's it. Now you want to try playing out these files, and you might see this error over here. So if you see these errors, there are a couple of things that you want to like add it up to your files, because it's going to be your another new file. Okay, so here what I want to do is I'm going to create another file over here. Click on new Python file, and here I'm going to name it md app.kv. Hit on enter, and it's still going to be a py file. If it is still a py file, then I would suggest you make sure not to create that. Inside of this over here, I'm going to create a scratch file or anything, whatever you prefer. So here I'm just going to create a file, and here I'm going to put in md app.kv. So there we go. We have a KV file which we are running over here. So as we have the KV file, you have to customize your KV file just a bit more. Inside of, let's say, this KV over here, or let's say the MD app, I'm also going to pass it out. So this is how it should basically look like. Okay, so basically we are done with this. Now if I just play this out, it will show me this open blank screen. So obviously we don't want only this blank screen over here. We want a couple of elements inside of our application, especially our buttons with design. So first thing that you want to do is you have to go off to the KV file over here. So I'm going to cut this off, go for the KV file, and I'm going to name it main widget. And you're going to put in a colon, and as I have this main widget, make sure this is also the same on this main widget file. Okay, so main widget, we're going to define it with a couple of other functions. So first things first is that we're going to hit out over here with, let's say, these signs. Okay, so here I'm going to put in main widget, close off the parentheses, put it on a colon. Here you want to define your button over here, open up a colon. Here you want to put in your text, colon, double quotation, and here I'm going to put in button. Okay, so this is what you want to type in over here, and make sure this is also, just bypassed it with this file. Okay, so first things first is that we have the main widget which we want to, just pass it along. Now if I just play this, you will have the button working properly inside of my application. So as I have this on the left corner, now even if I just reduce it, you can see the button has its exact shape. So we also want to create the button in a specific way so that even if we change it, it's going to be dynamic. Okay, so you can work with specific sizes, you can work with specific positions at the same time. So first things first, if you want to customize your button inside of your application, first things what you have to do is you have to go off to the KV file over here. And right after our button text, what I want to do is I'm going to work with specific sizes. So I'm going to put in size, colon, and here I'm going to put in 400 pixels, comma, 220 pixels. Then the position where I want to put it, I have to put in pos open up a colon, and here I'm going to put in, let's say 110, comma, 220. There we go. Now you'll also be able to run out this file and check it out. Another thing that you want to do is you want to work with display pixels when you want to, or when you are working with display, or let's say, KV files. So first thing what you want to do is you can try playing this out. You might see this is how it looks like now. You can also see that this is working properly. So if you want to work with display pixels over here, what you have to do is put in double quotation on each and every one of them. And you want to put in DP over here, double quotation, close it off, double quotation, DP, close off double quotation. Same things over here, 110, DP, close it off, DP, close it off. Okay? You can also put in 200 if you want to. Now, if you just play it out, you can still see this is working properly. You'll be able to change out the values anytime you want to. So the size is going to be 300 now. You can see 300 into, let's say, 250. Play it out. There we go. We have an almost circle, not circle, but kind of like a square, but also a rectangle at the same time. So this is basically how it will work. Now, even if you just reduce it, it's still going to be on that exact position because we have locked in the position of that button. The next thing what I want to show you is that you can also create more buttons at the same time. If you want to create more buttons, you just have to create another button function over here. Let's say button, colon. Here I'm going to put in the text. Let's say the text is going to say button 2. Let's say here I'm going to put in button 1, and this one should be button 2. Okay? Here I'm also going to fix out the size. Size is going to be colon over here, and the size is going to be 300 dp, comma. I'm going to put in quotation over here, and I'm going to put in 250 dp over here, but I'm going to change the position of this. So here on the position, I'm going to work with, let's say we have worked with 110. So I'm going to put in 220 dp, comma, and we have that in 200 dp. So I'm going to put in 400 over here. There we go. Now if I play this out, you can check we have both of these buttons which are working totally perfect. Okay, so this is basically how you'll be able to create buttons, and you will also be able to create labels at the same time as buttons. If you want to do that, what you can do is just change out the name of this and turn it into a label. If you just run this whole thing, you'll basically see you cannot check this out over here anymore because this has turned into a label. So if you want to work with any specific labels, you also have to intertwine it with specific stuffs. First thing what you want to do is that you have to change out the color because it is now determining it as white. So first thing that you have to do over here after the position, I'm going to put in another class, which is going to be color. This is going to define my color of the text. So here, color, colon, I'm going to work with, let's say, specific values, maybe 1, comma. I'm going to put in 0, comma, 0, comma, 1. Now, if I just play this out, you can check we have button 2, and we also have button 1. Button 1 is working perfectly because this is let's say this is a button. But button 2, which you can see over here, this is not a button, but this has turned into a label. You'll also be able to work with, or let's say customize the color of your buttons anytime you want. What you basically have to do is put in the color class over here, and you can also put in maybe something like a text. So if I put in color blue, and even if I just cut this off over here, I'm just going to put in blue over here. If I just run that, you can see the button which I have inside of my application has turned into blue. You will also be able to work with specific numerical values. at any times. So instead of these texts over here, I can also work with specific numbers. So if I just put in 0, comma, 0, comma, 1, comma, 1, it is going to be blue at the same time. So you can see that it is showing me as an error because I have used quotation over here. So use only quotation when you are using any alphabetical value such as blue, purple, pink. So if I just cut this off and now if I play this out, you can see the button is still blue. So if I just change this value into 2 and if I play this out, you can see we are still having blue over here. I'm going to cut this off 3, 1. If I just play this, you can see now we have cyan. It's also going to work the same way on the label. If I just cut this off and if I want to work with any specific name, if I want to work purple, so I'm just going to type in purple over here. Purple, play this out. And there we go. We have the label as purple. Okay. So this is basically how you are going to be customizing your buttons, your widgets in your application while developing your own application with Python. So thank you for watching this video up till the very end and hope you understood about everything in this class. You'll be able to customize everything at any step. Even if I want to work with pink, I can just type in pink, play this out. It's going to be pink. Okay. So if you have any confusion or any question about any part of these lessons, feel free to ask me anytime. I'm always there to help you out. So without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of app development with Python.